Mr. Speaker, with the authority and concurrence of the chair and with the instructions of the mover of the motion, I beg to reply. And Mr. Speaker, as I reply, allow me to make some brief comments. First of all, this House must congratulate the mover, the initial mover or the initial sponsor of this bill, and that was Senator Murango. And Mr. Speaker, it's very difficult to get a law, to get a bill converted into a law in this current bicameral setup. It now appears that you need an average of 3 years for a legislative proposal to get to the point where there is agreement on it. And Mr. Speaker, now that the mediation committee that comprised members from both houses of parliament have agreed on a version that is acceptable, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank members who have debated and who have agreed that we take the amendments that have been suggested by the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, this is the true lawmaking, that the Senate can originate a bill or the National Assembly can originate a bill, and if there is disagreement, we don't fight in public or we don't insult each other. We sit in mediation, go clause by clause, and ensure that we are in agreement on the final outcome. And Mr. Speaker, I really look forward, and I hope that the head of state is going to assent to this bill immediately the two houses dispense with this motion. And I want to call on Senator Murango that despite whatever political convictions you might have, this is such an important bill that you might need to be present at State House to witness its assent because you have fought for the farmers, you have fought for the coffee farmers. When you are my chair in the Agriculture Committee, you spoke with passion about the fate of agriculture and the fate of farmers in this country. Mr. Speaker, we know Senator Murango has even gone to court to ensure that our economy is not flooded with cheap rice imports that would kill the farmers of Mwea, the farmers of Kano, the farmers of Ahero. So Senator Murango, this one, go to State House. This one, witness the signing. This one, demand to take the pen that has been used to sign that particular piece of legislation, because that is a parliamentary tradition that when you come up with such a good legislative proposal, you need to be there when it's being assented. The issues of politics we can set aside for purposes of this bill. Mr. Speaker, just talking to a few of the issues that were in contention, or just the broad features of this bill, because perhaps there could be Kenyans listening today who have not followed the debate on this particular coffee bill. Mr. Speaker, this bill brings back the Coffee Board of Kenya and establishes a Coffee Research Training Institute. Mr. Speaker, we must have a conversation with the CS responsible for agriculture and the Council of Governors to ensure that we have clarity on our strategic objective and our strategic direction for the agriculture sector. Mr. Speaker, at some point, we established one super agency called the AFA, Agriculture, Food, Fisheries Authority. And that was established during the Mwai Kibaki days. It was hailed as a solution or as a vehicle that would take us to Vision 2030. And Vision 2030 and this Vision Singapore, Mr. Speaker, are not too far apart. But we have torn apart what we established under AFA. The first sector to devolve from AFA was fisheries. I was in this house, Mr. Speaker, when we, in 2016, sponsored the Fisheries Management and Development Act, because we felt that AFA was not providing that visibility and that special care for fish farmers in this country. Mr. Speaker, even though we've got a very elegant piece of legislation supported by regulations, we established the Kenya Fisheries Service, we established the Kenya Fish Marketing Authority, we established a Fish Research Institute, we even established a Fish Levy Fund. Today, Mr. Speaker, that legislation has not been fully implemented, and we are still stuck on regulations. And that is why I was quite keen to see that we are not leaving too much to regulations in this particular proposal. Because when you leave too much to regulations, the regulation-making entities sometimes take too long to bring regulations to this house. And so they render the hard work of senators and members of National Assembly to be useless for lack of regulations. After fisheries, Mr. Speaker, tea devolved. Cotton devolved. Senator Beth Siengo brought a cotton industry development bill. And Mr. Speaker, what was unfortunate was after this House had painstakingly gone through the cotton industry development bill, and Senator Morango has just reminded me that 30% of Kenya's soil is called black cotton soil. So it tells you that in 30% of this country, we could be growing cotton. Instead of importing cotton from Egypt to feed the industries in Athi River that take things for AGOA in the United States, it is possible for us to produce cotton. And so, Speaker, what did the Cabinet Secretary do? The Cabinet Secretary then initiated a presidential memorandum to say that it is not part of the government's strategic policy direction to establish additional state corporations. And as a result, the presidential memorandum was asking Parliament to undo whatever the cotton industry development bill was proposing. And Mr. Speaker, for those of us who hail from areas with black cotton soil, the question was, when we were divesting tea from AFA, there was no problem about state corporations. When we were divesting dairy, there was no problem about too many state corporations. When you are divesting sugar, when you are divesting other products, why is it that when you are divesting cotton, that is when there's concern that there's crawl, there's too much, there are too many state corporations being established? Mr. Speaker, I hope that we're not going to get those kind of arguments in this particular case, because the Coffee Board of Kenya, the Coffee Research Training Institute, one might consider them to be additional state corporations. But Mr. Speaker, the impact they have on the economy of our country must not be looked at from the simple lens of additional CEOs or additional drivers or additional bureaucracy. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the economic impact of coffee, and if you look at what we used to do in coffee and what we can do, it does not matter whether you set up some institute or you set up some board, because if it brings proper alignment of that sector, the benefits are going to outstrip the cost. Mr. Speaker, so this is one conversation that the national government should have with the Senate. We would be very happy to review the sessional paper on agriculture. In 2021, there was a policy statement on agriculture sector that was brought to this House. But Mr. Speaker, you know that 2021 and the administration that is in place right now, the priorities might have changed. I was quite happy when I listened to the President when he addressed Parliament not too long ago, when he talked about his new focus. And he talked about food security. He talked about making sure that we harvest water, we put up these super dams, we take advantage of large-scale agriculture. Yes, that is important, but we must also focus on the smallholders. And so I believe that this is part of the President's focus, and the CS for agriculture should make it easy by coming here, explaining the government's policy on agriculture, and we can bring the Council of Governors on board. Those are the kind of conversations we'd love to have with the governors. Mr. Speaker, as I wind down my reply, I've already said that let's not leave too much to regulation. It is becoming a concern not just in Kenya, but across the Commonwealth. It is now being referred to as skeleton legislation, that members of Parliament have become so lazy that they will do the skeleton, and for the flesh, they will leave it to the cabinet secretaries or to the regulators. Mr. Speaker, that can pose a problem, because a number of the regulations, we have seen regulations that have taken force without coming to Parliament. But on the other hand, we have also seen cases where Parliament requires regulations be brought within a certain time frame, and that is not done. And Mr. Speaker, I recall there was one piece of legislation we passed, or we debated in this House. It was part of the NADCO bills that was going to put clear timelines and provide clear consequences to regulation-making entities that do not do what they need to do in good time. Mr. Speaker, the CS in charge of cooperatives, CS Oparanya, has been walking around talking to cooperatives and trying to revive coffee cooperatives. Of course, there's still the issue of outstanding loans that some of these cooperatives hold. But Mr. Speaker, CS Oparanya, for those of us who have met him in his office and in other events, has made it clear that there was a colonial notion that coffee could only grow in certain parts of the country. There was this colonial notion that even tea could only grow in areas called the White Highlands. Mr. Speaker, Homa Bay County is a coffee producer. In the year 2023-2024, we produced 629 bags. And so, Speaker, 629 bags fetched our farmers close to 20 million. And if you look at the value per bag, it's almost 10 times the value you're getting from maize. Some parts of this country, due to many, many reasons, due to a colonial mindset, Mr. Speaker, some parts of this country are still stuck with what we call poverty crops. Senator Morango has just simulated to me how a coffee farmer on 1 acre can make 1 million shillings a year. We who come from the sugar belt, Senator Beatrice Ogola and I, Senator Ogola, you know that what you call a successful sugarcane farmer, for you to make 300,000 shillings per acre a year, you have to be extremely lucky. Why are some regions of this country stuck with poverty crops while the real cash crops are still left in certain small pockets of this country? Mr. Speaker, we need to democratize agriculture. And democratizing agriculture is by ensuring that where the soil agrees with a certain crop, we allow the people in that area to produce that crop. One thing I know about Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, and when I talk about Kenyans, I can talk about my parents, I can talk about my family, I can talk about my kinsmen. If today you told them that if you grow an avocado tree, at the end of the year you are going to make a super profit, they will grow it. If you tell them to rear quail, they will do it. If you tell them to do macadamia or whatever it is, they will do it. All you need to do is to prove to them that there's going to be a return on their investment and there's going to be a certain market at the end of the day. The reason why we are stuck with sugarcane, which is a poverty crop, is that at least you know that in my case, Sukari Industries is going to take your sugar. You know that there's a local miller close by who's going to take your sugar. So it's better than nothing. But a lot of our farmers, they have land, and they have land that is rich. They have land that has got what we call in Swahili rotuba. A lot of our people, a lot of the parts of this country that have been classified as poor, we are not poor because of lack of natural resources. We are poor because what is ascribed to us, what is brought to us, what is promoted in our eyes are things that perpetuate poverty rather than things that get us out of that vicious cycle of poverty. And so, Mr. Speaker, I hope that this board, because it's supposed to have a function on regulation, development, and promotion of coffee in this country, that they are not going to restrict themselves to the colonial White Highlands, that they are not going to restrict themselves to the areas that were defined in sessional paper number 10, that they're going to look at this entire country and any corner of this country where coffee can be grown. They are going to promote the growing of coffee in those areas. Mr. Speaker, I also hope that the board will not just be focused on export, production and export. It is embarrassing, Mr. Speaker, that when we go to supermarkets and we buy coffee, the coffee in the cans and the coffee that has been packaged, sometimes you cannot tell where it originated from. When you buy a packet of Nescafe, Mr. Speaker, sometimes it is coffee that was planted in your backyard, behind your house, but it travels thousands of kilometers to be processed in a foreign country, and travels again thousands of kilometers back for it to be sold to you using global supply chains that make the price then triple, not even triple, the price doubles in the order of hundreds. Mr. Speaker, why can't we produce our own coffee? Aliko Dangote in Nigeria is proving that Africans are smart. It's just that we just have this mindset. Mr. Speaker, the one in Swahili and in quote, kasumba ya ukoloni. We have an inferiority complex. Mr. Speaker, they are able to refine their oil in Nigeria. Many years ago, it was thought that was impossible. When even here in Kenya, we had a Kenya petroleum refinery. There's a time we used to refine petroleum in this country. Mr. Speaker, today, we are producing oil in Turkana, and, well, the motion will come before this House, but we are not having conversations on refining it. We are having conversations on exporting it. I hope that this Coffee Board of Kenya and the Coffee Research Training Institute, working together within this framework that this House has approved, will not just focus on exports, will not just focus on an exchange who, true to the name, exchanges value, takes away from Africa and takes our produce to far off lands for it to come back in very exaggerated pricing. Mr. Speaker, beyond value addition, at the micro level, because county governors still have a responsibility. And I'm happy that in the bill, the responsibility of county governors or county governments has been clearly defined. In fact, I'm very happy that unlike in the fisheries space, where there is confusion on who should collect which license, we didn't provide that clarity, Mr. Speaker, because the Constitution has got two words, fishing and fishery. And Mr. Speaker, the Constitution says that fishery is a national government function, but fishing is a county government function. It has created serious confusion, coupled with delays in regulation, that you'd find that a fisherman would be paying taxes to the national government and to the county government. You find someone doing a small cage fish farming thing in Lake Victoria pays taxation to both levels of government. Mr. Speaker, Senator Morango and the team that was working on this has created a matrix indicating the kind of license and the entity that shall levy it. And I'm glad that there's that clarity, what the county governments shall levy, what the national government shall levy, and what the capital markets shall levy. Mr. Speaker, we must tie this to warehouse receipts. Senator Fonandi has talked about violent robbery, within that space. If our warehouse receipting system was working effectively, it would provide good, proper storage for the finished product so that farmers do not have to be under stress to, investing in a high level of security to ensure that they're not stolen. Mr. Speaker, let me finalize by, again, congratulating the team that was in mediation, congratulating the primary sponsor of this bill, that finally there is hope that Kenya will come back to the League of Coffee Producers. We have gone places in the 11th Parliament with the then Senator for Meru, Senator Kiraitu Murungi. We went to Costa Rica to see how they do their coffee. And Mr. Speaker, the interesting thing is that the Costa Ricans, they told us they learned their coffee production from Kenya. And here we were, going to Costa Rica to see how they do coffee, to see how they do bananas, and to see how they do sugarcane. This country, Kenyans should not settle for less. We have the best brains, we have the best ideas, and God blessed us with wonderful soil, wonderful geography. And that is why our coffee is among the best in the world. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I beg to reply, but I also request, pursuant to Standing Order number 66.3, to defer the putting of the question to a later date. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Senator Moses Kajwang, when Chair Morango was the chair agriculture, I remember there's a time he mentioned to me, he whispered that he was on his way to Costa Rica. That was Colombia.